All Eyes on Me. What's your phone number? One of the most disliked songs on that album. I don't know why. I
Really?
personally like that song, but when everybody talk about All Eyes on Me, they always, say they don't like What's Your Phone Number.
Yeah.
Um, just take me through that song, man. How did that song come about?
I know. I keep saying we was drunk and high as hell, but I remember us recording that song, and I don't know where that song came from. It may have been just because so many musicians was around. We know that the song come from a Prince song, and just the sample of that. And we had even done it on the road when we had a chance to do the show. We performed that song, but it was a Prince song. It was a popular song. You know what I mean? And I can't quite say I liked it. You know what I mean? I don't even know if my name was by it. Because even at that time, I made sure that they didn't put my name by it because I didn't want to get in trouble with my grandmother and them. You know what I mean? So and I made sure that I told Suge. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, if you really want to fuck with me, I'm ready. Baby, let me give you a call. How long will it take to break you up? I remember Pac being in the studio and all that sound effect shit that you hear in the background was really happening. Like it was him and a few girls in the booth, blacked out. And all that shit you hear him say to a bear, wipe his ass with a white rabbit, and the girl that's talking on there was a stripper. And they just like, that's what we did at Death Row. We did organic shit. Like if you heard a phone ring, it wasn't no computers and shit like where they went and got the phone sound. We went and mic'd the phone up and said, all right, call the phone. Y'all got it? So if you heard somebody in the background sounding like they was getting some head or something, more than likely, that's what it was. And that was an organic record. Actually, that record they played it so long, like 10 minutes, 11 minutes in the studio, and he just kept rapping, and just kept going on. The conversation that they had at the end was longer than the song. But that's what Death Row was good at, making it sound like you was there in a skit. That's what I liked about it. It brought that Death Row character, it brought that Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre character when you heard Dr. Dre slam, those gates on the jail cells and things like that. To me, about that element. That's when Pro Tools really first came out. Yeah, so it was exciting for me. I appreciate the royalties that come from it, but it wasn't one of my favorites.
With Toss It Up being one of Tupac's leading singles from his Machiavelli album, was that supposed to be a setup for you, for your album?
Nah, they always said, Suge always lied and said that it was a setup for my album. But it was actually, I think, a great setup for me to be singing with, such legends, Casey and JoJo and Aaron Hall. And then Pac, the new, I guess I should say his alter ego, Machiavelli, to be a part of that record. I had done these records on the All Eyes on Me record, and to know that a new record was coming out was crazy. But I think the Toss It Up album should make sure that I was on things that moved, that looked like it was gonna have what it needed behind it. Because again, they didn't need me on a song with Casey and JoJo, Pac and Aaron Hall. But for me to get an opportunity to sing the first verse and get in the studio and write on the song and do backgrounds and things like that, yeah, definitely it was.
What was the time frame you was told about when your album was supposed to come out?
Shit, like it was coming out like soon as I signed. Like I always heard my album was coming out. Murder Was the Case was the first opportunity of me even releasing a record on Death Row. And I just made that soundtrack. It was already done. Suge made sure that they put me on there before they mastered the full thing. He made sure that DJ Quick got a song ready for me, and we worked on the song, and it was accepted. So I was really excited about that album, that song going on the record. But that was like the beginning of Suge kind of kicking it off for me and saying what he wanted to see with my career. But he made sure that, in prime moments like that he involved me. What's funny is I remember when I first went around and I wasn't even signed to Death Row, and we were getting ready to do the Arsenio Hall show. and it was the last taping of, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Arsenio Hall show. We were getting ready to do this show, and it had nothing to do with me. I just got there. Like, and I'm a boy, the church boy from Chicago. I don't really know too many R&B songs with old school songs. And you know, Suge like, yeah, we going to their rehearsal. You gonna sing on this show. And it was to be on Arsenio, it was Arsenio Hall show. You gonna sing on the Arsenio Hall show. And I'm, you know, I don't know what I'm saying, what I'm gonna sing. Shit, sing a church song. So it didn't matter. He just wanted to make sure that I was on the show. So they kicked Warren G off of the show. So imagine that they finna do this death row. I'm sure gin and juice, everything that they finna do, and Suge like, just come up with something. And when I showed up to the rehearsal hall and he announced that to them, you could kind of feel like a little funniness in the room, a little friction in the room. And when it was time for us to do the filming the next day, nobody showed up. So they canceled the show. So they were all kind of pissed off that Suge was like just throwing me on shit. But he had always lied on the back of the records and said that, you know, Danny Boy's album next.
Do you think Tupac death affected your career?
Definitely. Definitely. Ah, man, if I close my eyes right now and think of what it'd be like if Pac was here, not the rappers that's out. Like, I know a lot of them wouldn't be here. I'm talking about the part where if Pac was here, I wouldn't be hungry to sing on the stage. And I would have somebody that would stand behind me, right? And he would be my word. Because I guess a lot of people don't call me when it's time to do singing now because, you know, I'm not with that clique or the wording out. But if Pac was living, Pac would be able to call everybody I think I want to work with. And they would want to work with me. And then it's a blessing because a lot of those people I be hearing sometimes want to work with me, but you know, I walked up to a dude the other day, we was getting some food, and he said, I thought you died. You know, we thought you was dead. So I think, you know, if he was here, it wouldn't be hard to get to Rick Ross. If he was here, it wouldn't be hard to get to the people that I want to work with. I wanted to work with T.I., but I was going to say his name, but I'm good. Yeah, I would be able to get to those artists that I want to work with and be with because I would have the king of rap saying, I'm his guy. When it came to singing, my dude, he picked me. If it was an award that was to go out for hooks and Pac was the person to pick that, or not even hooks for singing, I would be confident enough to say that he would pick me. So I can't even wait to work with a lot of artists that look up to him because that's why he picked me for the hooks, man. I now see it, and it's a blessing. I don't take it for granted. But I would have had that name behind it still today.
What was your issue with the Tupac estate in Afeni?
Rest in peace to Afeni. My issue is that after me being on death row, just like everybody else problem, just like everybody else say about Pac, or you know these other artists that hadn't been paid from doing these records, I was one of those artists with some of these songs that you just got through naming, that I wrote these things. Like, and when I say wrote it, I went on the microphone and we created, Pac and myself, the songs that you hear, and the other people that was in the studio that were compensated or that had credit on the album. I was there just as they was, and I did my part. And my part was to sing and come up with the hook and sing throughout the track. And it was times that was just a relationship that we had. I didn't understand the business of it. Now, if it had been this day, I would have took care of my business. But then, come to find out all these royalties was being made off of I Ain't Mad At You. At this time, it was a ringtone. Ringtones was in where you had to pay 99 cents to get a ringtone. And it was a lot of downloads for that ringtone. So I got a little hungry and eager. I'm already going through it. I'm working jobs. I'm already struggling. And my music is being played. And it's millions of albums being sold. And I'm seeing all of this pass by. And then I see barbers when I get to LA. I see barbers. I would go to a barber shop and they would have plaques, recording plaques, given from the record company to them for the All Eyes on Me album. And I never seen those people in my life. And I don't have a recording plaque for all those songs. A plaque, fuck a check. Fuck a check. Let's just say fuck that for a second. a recording plaque, at least that'll make you feel like you're appreciated for what you've done. Because this is the same appreciation that they're going and fighting on behalf of Tupac. Unfortunately, I'm fighting on behalf of myself when I made some of those comments, and I was upset. And this was previous to Afeni passing. You know, a lot of people was making comments, oh man, how can you talk about somebody's deceased mother? She wasn't deceased. I'm not gonna, like, I don't know how they was raised. I don't do shit like that. But before, I talked to Afeni a lot on the phone. Before she got a check from her son. And we prayed a lot, and she told me, you know, hang in there, baby, everything gonna be okay. And when things got okay for her, it wasn't okay for me. I didn't expect her to, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, you just want your hand out. I'm not asking Suge, Afeni, none of them to give me shit. I want what I worked for. Just like everybody else be saying, I got my royalties. So I fought for these royalties. I put the money on hold. Me, my team, Will, Linda, Kim, Craig, we put it on hold. Where Interscope had about $100 and something million that they couldn't pay nobody because we put it on hold without a lawyer. And then they sent me a contract and said, well, they're gonna settle with you and give you the minimum. I ain't gonna talk about what the minimum was. I took it because shit, at least we know we finna get a check. So I signed for the minimum. And we waited 30 days. I waited 60 days. I waited 90 days. Okay. I waited 60 days. I waited 90 days. And then we started kind of sending letters in like, hey, what's up? Dina LaPope. She was in charge of the state at that time. She sent me a message and said that we sent your check to Suge. I signed for this percentage and they said that they would pay me within 30 days. I waited 120 days, and when she got on the phone, she said for me, her message was, Miss Afeni told her to send the check, my portion to Suge. You wouldn't be mad? How you gonna send something to Suge and everybody, y'all fighting Suge to pay for the money that he was holding for Pac? I'd have rather them held it into the, Suge should have sued them to get that money before they just turned around and gave it to him, if they did. Then when I went to Suge years later and said, hey man, you know, Afeni them said, you know, they gave you this check. He was like, shit, how much was the percentage they gave you? He called me stupid. You stupid. I left away from the jail feeling this small. He said, you stupid. This is my first time saying it really in front of my people. I try to kind of brush it off. DB, you stupid. What kind of shit is that? You write half of a motherfucking song and you accept 10% on I Ain't Mad at You? And then you can come and ask me if I take 10 motherfucking percent. Fuck I'm gonna do with 10%. What we need to do is go with them and tell them to break off some more of that change. And when he said that to me, I was like, shit. He ain't get the money, nor am I finna get this nigga to go get the money because he gonna take all of it. So I continued to fight for myself. But they were supposed to cut me a check. Everybody know how much. Look, man, I don't care if you just know me for I Ain't Mad at You. That's what you know me from. Okay, cool. It's a song, and behind the song, you get paid. And I was the only person that didn't get the big part of the money. I shouldn't have had some of the struggles that I had. Yeah, it went from Suge, but then everybody keep missing. They was like, well, you blaming this on Afeni. Put it together. Remember, I was just saying, oh, well, that's why Suge and Afeni got all the Pac stuff now, so now who we put it on? Well, who else can I talk about? I'm talking about whoever owe me money. And it's unfortunate that I had to speak about somebody's mama with that. But again, I expected her to be a little bit like an auntie to like, damn, if you don't give me my money you owe me, I didn't get none of the work that came thereafter. You hear all these weirdo ass people singing on them songs with Pac? I sang on them first. And then you hear that shit with these non-singing ass niggas. I got a right to say it when it comes to Pac album because Pac say that singing ass nigga Danny Boy from Chicago. So we going by what Pac doing and we following the model of what he said. Then you gonna put these niggas that can't keep up a key or re-emulating what the fuck I sung on there. Listening to what I sung and they go in the studio like they came up with something. And they got plaques. Yes, I'm mad. It ain't your song. Y'all, it's just, that's why people be mad it's not yours. That's like you going to your little bitty ass job and going to work. And at the end of the week, they tell you they not paying you. We're not gonna pay you. No, we're not gonna pay you. We're not gonna tell you when we're gonna pay you. And you know you the best worker of the month. You ain't getting the work certificate for good working or nothing. You just showing up to work. Wrong person. So yes, I apologize. Here I go. I'm apologizing out of being a man. I apologize that somebody felt that I disrespected somebody's mother because I respect the culture where Afeni come from. Right? It's the Black Panther, right? For my people, right?
Right.
Take care of your fucking people. Don't preach that shit. Don't tell me about somebody that's a preacher and taking care of their people and you ain't taking care. I'm your people. Now let's say I ain't your people. I worked for what I did I should have been taken care of as a kid. So now I don't feel sorry for what I said because the message still saying the same. It's still the same for whoever is in charge up at that estate. And they're looking for any check that is owed to me. Fuck yeah, I want my money. Today. I'm just not as mad as I was when you seen that interview because I do other stuff now. I learned to do other things. That's what I got from it. I praise God that, through the struggle of it, it taught me how to get into this restaurant thing and make burgers because I see that the people that said they're going to take care of you, not going to take care of you. So you got to come and cook some burgers. You got to be the singing chef. You got to open up old Danny Boys. Because these people going to have you singing Prostitute Your Gift. I wouldn't allow my mother to prostitute what I got that God gave me. So anybody that's mad about me saying something about somebody else prostituting mine, that's on you.
You wrote the song John B. and Tupac did, right? Are you still down?
Still now. Yep. Yes.
Tell me about that.
Shit, I just wrote it. Like I wrote any other song. I can't tell you every session. But I know somebody gonna be like, no, I remember I was in there when John was in there, shut the fuck up. No, you wasn't. Any song that a guy was singing on it, he had no reason to call another guy to sing. Because at that time, if he wanted another guy, he would have got Luther Vandross. He would have got Michael Jackson. He would have got anybody he could have afforded. Because it wasn't just Suge putting me on. If you really want to be frank about it, it wasn't Suge putting me on. Pac, the one that put me on. Pac is the one that came in the studio and got me. Suge didn't hear them damn songs until we was finished. So Pac picked me. I don't think Suge went to Pac and say, hey, make sure you go to the studio. It didn't happen like that. So yeah, I'm a little passionate about it. You do 5-6 songs on the album that sell 22, then it was 22, 25 million records. I have to be careful saying these numbers because y'all will go check it and y'all will think y'all lawyers and shit. But more than 20 million records later, I still don't have a plaque and a check that match it. So what? I'm washed up and so what? I'm a sissy. So what? All of that. I'll be a sissy and washed up with that. I ain't mad at you check. As long as you respect me when you see me.
What was the last song you recorded with Tupac?
The last song I probably recorded with Tupac was, it was probably a skit. People on death row, don't you know it's death row? To my people in the ghetto, I think it's about time that we realize And then Pac came on and rapped on it. It's an incredible record. I love to just have it whether it's released or not, because it's like he came in and we showed, like, if you want to find out what our friendship was, I guarantee you can find it on that reel. Because I was in the studio already recording and he came in playing too much. Choking me and shit, and I'm on the mic and he grabbed me. Come on, nigga. You're gonna go in the back and sing this song. And I'm like, I'm recording. And he jumped on it. And it was my song, it wasn't his.